Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. I'm going to be back in the kitchen today because I wanted to show you more things you can do with the vegetables you grew in your garden. Did you grow winter squash this year? Or maybe when you're in the grocery store you see the displays of them but you're really not sure what to do with them? Well, today I'm going to show you how easy it is to oven roast winter squash. And the flavor you end up with afterwards, oh, it's so delicious. Let's get started. I want to start by showing you the different types of winter squash I grew this past year. And these are Goldilocks acorn squash. You've probably seen either orange or green acorn squash in your store, or perhaps you grew them, but they are wonderful. This is a butternut squash, and it's really one of my favorites because they're super tasty and you can use them for a wide variety of dishes. This one is a potimarron winter squash, and I grew it last year for the first time. It is really good and it has a nice thick flesh. And last but not least, these are two autumn frost winter squash. They look a lot like butternuts, but you'll notice they are relatively small. I grew this variety for the first time in 2020. Once I roasted them, I knew I'd want to grow them every year. And these are what I'm going to roast today. My husband caught some trout yesterday, so tonight's dinner is going to be trout, roasted squash, and a fresh salad using the lettuce and radishes I picked from my little hoop house out in the garden. Yum! For this recipe, you're going to need a roasting pan, and I like to line it with some foil for easy cleanup later. 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a brush, 4 cloves of garlic, and of course your squash. The first step is to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. The trickiest part about roasting a winter squash is that they have pretty hard skins, and that's a good thing because it helps them keep for a long time in storage. But they can be a bit challenging to cut through. Now I've got this huge knife, and I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be careful. So please don't cut yourself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock off the stem first so that it's out of the way. And I usually find that's the easiest way to do it. And it's pretty steady. It's got a somewhat flat end there. And what I'm going to do is carefully put this actually in the creases of this squash and then just slowly work my way through it without cutting myself. So there's number 1. And there's number 2. The next thing you need to do is to scoop out the seeds and these fibers. And I love to use our ice cream scoop because it's really sturdy. So just work your way around the cavity. Usually takes a moment. There's some of it. And you want to scoop out each of the 4 cavities. The next thing you want to do is to take a brush and the olive oil and brush the cut surface and the entire cavity of the squash. And then place it face down on the baking sheet. The next step is kind of sneaky. You're going to slip the garlic clove underneath each of the squash halves. And you'll notice these garlic are not peeled. You don't need to do that, which I always find rather tedious. So actually they're going to roast in the oven, and after everything is cooked, you'll be able to just basically squirt the garlic out of the skins, and that works great. Now it's time to put the squash into the oven. It has preheated to 375 like I mentioned earlier. And then I'm going to set the timer for 40 minutes. It's time. Yay! Take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to turn them over, but I wanted to point out how the skin looks kind of glistening and it's a little crinkly. There's some softness to it when you touch it. Those are the things you're looking for. There's that roasted garlic. Be careful of the hot steam though. Oops, I got the foil with it. There we go. But you can see it's nice and soft, which is perfect. Well, that's all there is to it. And it's pretty easy, isn't it? I hope you'll start roasting winter squash because it is so delicious and it's so healthy for us to eat. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.